I learned something about justice the day my children tried to erase my wife's last wish. Justice doesn't shout. It chooses one clean question, sets it on the table like a key, and waits for the truth to fit. My name is Henry Cole. I buried my wife, Mary Ann, on a bright Wednesday, and by sunset I had already lost something else, the original, of the will we signed together. In that will, she gave me a life estate in our home and placed everything else in a trust managed by a neutral trustee. We signed it at our lawyer's office, witnessed and notarized, then locked the original in my safe deposit box. After the funeral, I went to the bank to fetch it. The drawer slid out, empty. Grief makes the world sound far away. That emptiness made it silent. I told our attorney I had a copy at home. She said a court can accept a copy if we prove the original wasn't revoked. Be patient. Be boring, she said. Boring wins. That week, my son Lucas arrived with real estate brochures and a pen. He said the market was hot, a condo would be easier, we could streamline the estate if I signed a quitclaim deed. My daughter Beth brought me soup and the same sentence in a softer voice. Mom didn't want you alone in a big house. They kept saying, Mom said. I kept hearing Mom wrote. Mary Ann underlined my life estate twice in the margin. Non-negotiable. I didn't argue. I started collecting quiet facts. At the bank, I asked for the access ledger to my box. The manager printed a page that showed 2 entries the afternoon of the funeral. Neither signature mine. Cameras had been working. Copies of IDs were attached. He wrote me a certified letter stating the times. I didn't accuse my children. I watered the hydrangeas, returned messages, and asked a simple question over dinner.
Had either of them used my safe deposit box? They said no fast and smooth. I didn't respond. I just let the word no sit between us like a glass that would break later when someone finally touched it. We filed our petition to admit the copy of the will. Our lawyer attached the bank's letters, affidavits from the witnesses to our signing, and the notary's journal. My children hired counsel and sent smiling emails about settling amicably if I deeded the house now. I kept saying the same sentence, let's do this in court. On the morning of the hearing, I put on the watch Mary Ann gave me for our 30th anniversary because she said it was sturdy and honest. The courtroom was beige and humming. Lucas stared at paperwork like it might save him. Beth's hands shook inside her sleeves. Their lawyer argued there was no original will, that perhaps Mary Ann had changed her mind, that I was overwhelmed and mistaken. Our lawyer didn't raise her voice. She laid out the chain, signed, witnessed, stored, box accessed after the funeral by persons not the testator or spouse. Original now missing. Copy true and correct. She called the bank manager, who testified about the ledger and cameras. She called me. I told the court Mary Ann loved lists and had written this one carefully. On cross they tried to fog me with dates and medical terms. I answered what I knew and declined the rest. Boring wins. Lucas took the stand. He said he only wanted to streamline things. Beth said there was no will and that Mom told me she worried about Dad in that house. Our lawyer didn't push harder. She simply played a 10-second clip from Sunday dinner, my voice asking about the box and both of them denying access. Their attorney objected. The judge accepted it for a limited purpose, then leaned back and wiped his glasses with a square of cloth. When a judge cleans his glasses, he is about to see something clearly. He looked at my children and asked one question. Who else had a key to the safe deposit box? Not why did you do it? Not do you love your father? Just who had the key? Beth hesitated. Only my parents kept keys, she said, in a little blue dish on the dresser. The judge nodded. And where is that dish now? Kelsey, my son's wife, answered before she could stop herself. In our guest room. Beth gave it to me. The judge studied the ledger, the ID copies, the timestamp 3:14 p.m., the day of the burial, and the stills the bank had preserved from the vault hallway. Ms. Cole, he said to Beth, tampering with a testamentary document is serious. I will not sanction you today, but understand the gravity. Then he turned to me and delivered the only sentence that mattered. The court finds the will was duly executed and not revoked. The copy is admitted. The neutral trustee will administer the trust. Mr. Cole's life estate is confirmed. One question had done the work. It located the truth. Outside, my son said I had set them up. I told him I had set the truth where it could be found. Beth cried and said she was scared of me being alone. I reminded her that love without honesty is just management. I drove home quietly, unlocked the door I almost lost, and stood in the kitchen where Marianne wrote grocery lists and courage in the same handwriting. Revenge would have felt good for an hour. Justice felt steady. It let me breathe. In the days that followed, I didn't do speeches. I made oatmeal, called the locksmith, and sent one message to the family group chat. Please coordinate money questions with the trustee. I'm focusing on the house and on healing. Lucas asked to meet at a diner with coffee that tastes like penance. He apologized without excuses. I told him the sentence. Every son needs but doesn't want. What you did was wrong, and you're still mine. Beth came by with a box. Inside was the blue dish and the spare key. She put it on the table like a confession. I wanted something of Mom that felt powerful, she said. I chose the wrong thing. We planted tulips in the yard Marianne had insisted we keep, even when money was tight. Tulips are generous. They come back if you give them a reason. People ask how to win cleanly when family gets dirty. Here is everything I learned, stripped of decoration. Don't argue in rooms where nobody came to listen. Collect boring facts. Put them in hands that value procedure over drama. Ask questions that locate instead of punish. Who had the key? Where is the dish? Who printed that deed? What time was the box opened? Let silence make its own record. When the moment comes, don't gloat. Take the order, walk outside, and go water something living. Justice isn't a finish line. It's a boundary that lets you start again. Weeks later, the trustee sent a note. Everything is proceeding according to the document your wife designed. That sentence felt like a light left on for me in a hallway I was afraid to walk down. Lucas now calls on Sundays. He's paying down debt and learning to be the man his mother believed he could be. Beth brings her daughter to bake and to hear stories about Marianne that aren't tidy but are true. Kelsey keeps her distance. Sometimes that's the truest apology someone can offer, a pause long enough for better habits to grow. If you're listening because someone hid what was yours and called it love, hold steady. You don't need 100 clever moves. You need one honest question and the patience to let it ring. I stood in a courtroom with a copy of my wife's will and a watch that ticks like a promise. And I learned that power doesn't always look like thunder. Sometimes it looks like a judge polishing his glasses, asking where the key was, and reminding a family that documents speak more clearly than fear. They hid the will. The question found it, and I went home not victorious, just intact. A man in the house his wife saved for him, making coffee, tending flowers, leaving the blue dish by the door to hold only what it was meant to hold.